Papoose just got dragged into the gutter on live internet. And the wildest part is, he set the trap himself. The man went on his own live stream from an airport terminal thinking he was about to deliver some heartfelt Knicks fan diary. And instead, he handed Big Keys a 4-hour highlight reel of his own desperation. The whole rap internet watched it happen in real time, and you could hear careers cracking through the phone speaker. Bro pulled out a sob story, a basketball monologue, a Statue of Liberty metaphor, and a mystery suitcase in one sitting. And Big Keys turned every single one of them into ammo. And Papoose? Papoose really thought he was cooking. He was the meal. Before we get into it, like, subscribe, don't miss it, nah? Papoose. Pap Rogers, the man the streets started calling Cheeseburger Pap, went live from an airport terminal claiming his flight had been delayed 4 full hours and that he had, quote, nothing but time. That stream dropped this week, right in the middle of the Knicks NBA Finals run, and it landed on every timeline within an hour. From there, Pap launched into a long, dramatic breakdown of Jalen Brunson's missed shot and OG Anunoby's tip-in, the same game winner that completed the Knicks' 107-106 comeback over the Spurs on June 10, 2026. And Big Keys, of Keys Against the World, caught the whole thing and immediately rolled the receipts on his own channel. Papoose thought it was a fan moment. Big Keys thought it was a sales pitch. Now let's pull up exactly what made the entire internet side with Keys. Let me put the receipts on the table one by one, because this whole story doesn't hit the same until you hear the man's own words. First receipt. Papoose opens the live stream and goes, and I'm quoting him directly here, "Hey yo, I'm stuck in the airport. Just got here and find out my flight is delayed 4 hours, man. So what? I got nothing but time, man." When I heard that opening line, I had to rewind it twice. Because who in 2026 still opens an IG Live with a sob story setup like he's filming a Lifetime movie? That was the moment Big Keys' whole spirit said, oh, here we go. Second receipt. Pap pivots straight from the airport sob story into the Knicks game. He goes, so now that I'm stuck here, I got nothing but time to sit here and think about last night, man. That right there is the transition every veteran panhandler uses. That's the, let me tell you a story before I tell you what I want move. Bro didn't even let the airline announcement finish before he was setting up the bit. Third receipt, and this is the one that broke Big Keys' patience completely. Pap launches into this dramatic Knicks breakdown. He says, when OG inbound that ball, right? He kicked it out to Brunson. When he kicked it out to Brunson, Brunson had 2 on him, right? He had Remy and the other dude on him. OG wanted to take that shot, bro. When I read this back, you can almost hear him auditioning for an ESPN job he was never gonna get. Fourth receipt, the Statue of Liberty bit. Pap goes, when he went up to tip that basketball in, man, all I saw was the Statue of Liberty. That moment was iconic, man. The only thing that was missing was the Hudson River. That's a real quote. That's a grown man, on a public stream, comparing OG Anunoby's putback to a national monument and a body of water. Nah, you can't say something this crazy and expect people to take you seriously. Fifth receipt, and this one's the kicker. After all of that, Pap finally lets the mask slip. He starts trying to gas up Brunson and OG like he was eyeing the building. He goes, Brunson, boy, you got a good shot. The chemistry y'all got is unfuckwhiteable. Then in the next breath, he starts daydreaming about being courtside, saying those same compliments to their faces. That's when Big Keys clocked it. That's when Keys said, on his own stream, and I'm quoting, if you was at the game and you told OG all that, they gonna tell you, get the expletive out my face. Reading that line back, you can almost hear Papoose's whole pitch dying in real time. And the final receipt, the one nobody can defend. Pap then shows a piece of luggage on camera. Big Keys catches it instantly. Keys goes, who luggage is that, man? We might have to screenshot this for a police report in the future. Yo, that's the kind of statement you delete at 3 a.m. and pretend you never made. Except Pap didn't delete it, because Pap was the one being filmed. Now that we've laid out the actual receipts, let's start connecting the dots, because the timeline behind all this is wilder than the quotes themselves. Look, the airport stream doesn't hit the same until you put it in the timeline that surrounds it, and the timeline is the entire story. That stream? It dropped in the exact week the Knicks finished off the most insane comeback in finals history. Game 4 ended 107-106 on June 10, 2026. That's a 29-point comeback. OG Anunoby finished with 33 points and 7 of 9 from 3. Brunson dropped 36 and 7. The whole city of New York was on fire. Tickets to Game 5 hit 5 figures on StubHub. And what did Pap pick that exact moment to do? Beg for ticket money from his audience. That's not a coincidence. That's strategy. That's a man watching the market spike and trying to time his pump. His statement? About being stuck for 4 hours? Big Keys caught the contradiction in real time. Keys' point was forensic. How can your time be delayed and you got nothing but time? Those two sentences cancel each other out. That's how you know the airport setup itself wasn't really about the airport. It was about earning sympathy minutes before the ask. That Knicks breakdown, it landed on the timeline one day after the most viral basketball moment of the year. Every fan with a phone was already talking about that tip-in. Every podcast in New York had it on the rundown. Pap didn't break the story. He was piggybacking the story. That's not a fan diary. That's a content grab disguised as fandom. The Cheeseburger Pap nickname? It didn't come from nowhere. That's been brewing in the comments for over a year, ever since the Remy Ma divorce talk first hit Charlemagne's couch on Power 105's Breakfast Club. Claressa Shields, yeah, Ike Shields, the boxing champ, went on that platform and told Remy to sign the divorce papers, and the internet has been roasting Pap's image ever since. Every time Pap pops up online, that whole storyline pops up with him. That's the cloud he's been streaming under. That's the climate Big Keys is broadcasting into. The mystery luggage? That part one can't even fully explain, and that's exactly Big Keys' point. Pap walked the camera over to a bag that didn't look like his, didn't match his outfit, didn't have a clear owner. Any smart person would have cropped that out. But strategic thinking isn't Pap's strong suit right now. The man is so used to running the live stream as a confessional that he forgot the lens picks up everything in frame. So when you line it all up, finals fever, ticket inflation, divorce cloud, Claressa headlines, airport delay, basketball monologue, mystery luggage, you stop seeing a fan and you start seeing a pitch deck. Pap walked into this exactly the way Big Keys called it. But here's where this gets even more interesting, because once you really break down what was said, you start hearing the hidden messages nobody else caught. Now check this out. Nobody's talking about this layer of it. And this is where Big Keys earned his stripes. Pause on the phrase, "I got nothing but time." That's not a throwaway. That's a setup line. In street pitch language, "I got nothing but time" is the same energy as "let me holler at you real quick." It's the verbal version of pulling up a chair right next to you when you didn't invite him. The reason this matters is because it preloads the audience to listen longer than they normally would. Big Keys decoded that in one sentence. How you got nothing but time and it's delayed. That contradiction is the tell. A real stranded traveler complains about the wait. A salesman frames the wait as opportunity. Pap framed it as opportunity. Case closed. Now zoom in on the Statue of Liberty line. On the surface, it sounds like a corny basketball metaphor. But listen to the construction. Pap doesn't just say Statue of Liberty. He says, the only thing missing was the Hudson River. That's not commentary. That's cosplay. That's a man performing New Yorker for an audience he assumes is half out of town. He's not describing what he saw on TV. He's auditioning for a New York fan card he already has. While Pap was reading the headline, Big Keys was writing the subtext. Watch what happens when Pap brings up Brunson and OG's chemistry. He goes from third-person commentary into second-person. Brunson, boy, you got a good shot. Mid-sentence. That tonal shift right there? That's the sales pitch tell. It's the same move pastors use right before the offering plate comes out. You start talking about the room and end up talking to the room. Pap was setting up an emotional bridge so the ticket ask wouldn't feel like an ask. And Pap really didn't catch that we'd catch it? That's embarrassing. Now pause on one of the most overlooked beats. The moment Pap pretends he just noticed his viewers. He goes, "Oh, I didn't see you guys there. Oh, hello." That's a scripted move. That's the same beat every YouTuber from 2014 used right before saying, "We're waiting on Mr. Charlie." Big Keys clocked that one cold. He turned to Pap Rogers in this. Say it again. Pap. That nickname, Pap Rogers, like Mr. Rogers, is the kill shot. It paints the whole thing as performance. Children's show energy. That's the problem with Pap. He doesn't read between the lines. He reads from a teleprompter only he can see. And the last forensic layer, body language by proxy. Big Keys never had Pap on camera in HD, but the audio tells you everything. The pacing slows when Pap is setting up. It speeds up when he's gassing himself. It drops to a whisper when the ask is close. That cadence is muscle memory from a man who's run this play before. This is why Big Keys is 10 moves ahead. Pap is still figuring out move 1. Now with all of that laid out, let's see how the media tried to spin this, because the way different outlets framed it tells you everything. The way different corners of the internet covered this thing tells you which side of history they're standing on. The hip-hop blogs took the soft route. The Shade Room style framing was Papoose goes viral with passionate Knicks take. They leaned into the basketball angle because the basketball angle is safe. It's clickable. It doesn't burn any bridges. They framed Pap as a real one who was just expressing fandom in the wild, which conveniently leaves out the ticket money subtext that Big Keys spotlighted. But the commentary channels saw it completely differently. Big Keys channel framed it as a panhandle attempt dressed in jersey colors, and his comment section ran with it. The Cheeseburger Pap nickname trended in his clips within hours. That framing is harder, it's sharper, and it's the one that actually matches the receipts. Then you got the gossip wing, outlets that have been tracking the Remy Ma divorce arc and the Claressa Shields situation for over a year. Their angle? They framed the airport stream as one more chapter in the Pap is having a public unraveling narrative. They didn't even need to address the basketball. To them, the basketball was set dressing. Now some people are pushing the narrative that Big Keys was too hard on Pap, that the man was just being a fan, just venting, just sharing his Knicks passion. Pap's defenders are out here saying the ticket money read is unfair. They're saying Big Keys reached. Some of Pap's supporters are reaching trying to defend this one with everything they got. Here's why that defense doesn't hold up. If this was pure fandom, there's no airport setup. If this was pure fandom, there's no nothing but time preamble. If this was pure fandom, there's no mystery luggage. If this was pure fandom, the basketball monologue ends with "Go Knicks," instead of an open-ended pause waiting for somebody to slide in the comments. The mainstream blogs trying to spin this for Pap, but the receipts don't lie. If you still think Pap has a point after all this evidence, you're just biased, not analytical. But here's what nobody in the mainstream media is saying, and this is where it gets uncomfortable. Now everyone's saying this is just a funny moment. A clip, a meme. Cheeseburger Pap got cooked on a Tuesday, haha, move on. The hip-hop blogs already buried it under 3 new Drake headlines. The Knicks blogs barely touched it because they don't cover rap. And the rap commentary channels are treating it like a one-off roast video. But here's what they won't tell you. This isn't a one-off. This is the public collapse of a manufactured persona in slow motion. And the airport stream was just the latest chapter. Here's the real story behind all this. Papoose has spent 20 years selling the world a specific image: the loyal husband, the lyrical purist, the underground king with the rich career. That was the brand. That was the entire product. And every single pillar of that brand has been quietly cracking in public for 2 straight years. The marriage narrative cracked when the divorce filings became public conversation. The lyrical purist narrative cracked the moment he stopped showing up on the timeline with bars and started showing up with vlogs. And now the real one narrative is cracking because the receipts keep showing somebody who's a lot more interested in being seen than being heard. That's why the Cheeseburger Pap nickname is sticking. Nicknames don't catch unless the public is ready to believe them. The internet didn't invent Cheeseburger Pap because of food. They invented it because Pap looks softer in public than the legend he sold them. The nickname isn't an insult. It's a verdict. And this is where Big Keys did something most commentators are too scared to do. He didn't just clown the airport moment. He pattern matched it. He said, in his own words, How many times is you going to reminisce about these games, man? That's not a roast. That's a thesis statement. Keys is saying, I've watched this exact playbook from you before, and the audience has too. Pap is a puppet, and the strings are getting more obvious by the day. Look at the structural irony. Pap is a New York rapper trying to leverage a New York basketball moment to pull money from a New York audience that just spent thousands on Knicks tickets they could barely afford. The math doesn't math. The Knicks fans in his comment section are the people who least have the disposable income to fund a peer's playoff dream. And he's pitching them anyway. That's the disconnect. That's the desperation tell. And here's the deepest layer. Remember the mystery luggage Big Keys flagged? Forget what's in the bag. Focus on what the bag represents. It represents a man who's been on the road long enough, doing enough side quest streams, that his own audience can't even confirm he's actually flying anywhere. That's a credibility problem. That's the kind of moment that, in any other era, a publicist would erase from the timeline before the sun came up. But Pap doesn't have that machinery anymore. He has a phone and a live stream and a brand that's losing pieces faster than he can replace them. That's the bigger picture nobody wants to say out loud. The torch in New York hip-hop has been passed. The streets moved on. The blogs moved on. The corner is empty. And Pap is standing in the middle of an airport, narrating a basketball game he watched on TV, hoping somebody cash apps him $40 before the boarding call. The mask is slipping. We're finally seeing who Pap really is. And that's the truth they don't want you to hear. So with all of that on the table, the real question becomes, what happens next? Here's what's most likely to happen. Pap is going to come back online within 72 hours and try to do damage control. He's going to film a "I was just being a fan" yo reaching response video. He's going to lean on the basketball angle harder, hoping to bury the panhandle red under more Knicks talk. And it's not going to work. Because once Big Keys names a pattern, the internet doesn't unsee the pattern. When Big Keys doesn't even respond to the cleanup video, Pap is going to look desperate, screaming into the void. The silence is going to hurt Pap more than any roast video could. Now if Pap takes the other path, if he tries to fire back at Big Keys directly, it's going to get worse, not better. Pap is not ready for what happens if Keys decides to go in for real. Big Keys held back. What you saw was the warm-up. If Pap escalates, Keys pulls up the receipts that didn't even make this cycle. The older streams, the older asks, the older patterns. Pap doesn't stand a chance the moment Keys decides to fully engage. Every move Pap makes is exactly what Keys predicted, which means the second swing lands harder than the first. Mark my words on the wild card. Watch what happens when the Knicks finish this finals run. If New York wraps up the championship, the entire city is going to be on a victory lap content cycle for 3 solid months. Every rapper, every commentator, every podcast is going to be cashing in on Knicks energy. And Pap, instead of riding that wave with credibility, is going to be the cautionary tale that gets dropped into every rappers who tried to ride the wave supercut for the rest of the year. 5 years from now, people will look back at this airport stream as the exact moment the public verdict on Pap got locked in. This is going to be the moment everyone remembers as when Pap's New York credibility quietly died. And looking at the bigger picture, Big Keys is about to graduate. The reason this clip is hitting different is because Keys didn't just roast a rapper. He demonstrated a skill set. He showed timing. He showed pattern recognition. He showed forensic breakdown energy. That's the type of run that turns a commentator into a headline name. Watch the next few weeks. Watch the bookings. Watch the bigger podcasts start to slide in his DMs. Pap is watching the culture move on without him in real time. And Big Keys is the one walking through the door Pap left open. Whatever path this takes, one thing's already clear. Pap has already lost. He just doesn't know it yet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering the real story, smash that like button and hit subscribe so you never miss when we expose what everyone else is too scared to say. Ring that bell for notifications. And if you want more truth bombs like this, click on one of these videos next. Trust me, you'll want to see what we found.